Hello, and welcome everyone. It's the Speaking with Gravity podcast. I am your host, Joshua Williams.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another season. My name is Hannah Williams.
And we got a couple special guests in the building right now. Special guests?
So you want to go first? Ladies first.
I like that. Chivalry is not dead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melinda Searles.
Yes, and she has the pleasure of being my wife. And I am Kervin Searles. Yeah, we'll leave it right there.
Beautiful. So welcome back, everybody. It is, what season is it, y'all? We've been through.
Wow.
Season 11.
Season 11.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So we kicking it off with season 11, y'all. We got a really, I don't want to say heartfelt, but an episode of love. So tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and I heard that today is actually
we got a celebration, y'all.
Yeah. So how many years have y'all been knowing each other?
It's been 20 years.
Okay, and this is the anniversary, I believe, right?
Yeah, we met 2005 at Payne College homecoming, which is while I got the shirt on, because I'll be beautiful. Forever indebted to Payne College homecoming 2005, because that's where I met my beautiful wife at.
Wow,
Payne
20
College,
years later.
HBCU, right?
Yeah, HBCU. It says on here HBCU made. I was not HBCU made, but she was.
Okay,
and I'm appreciative of that.
I went to Payne College in Augusta, Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, she represent.
At my homecoming.
Yeah.
Well, y'all are one at this point, so if she HBCU made, then
Yeah, okay, then I'm made. Yeah. Hey,
No, ma'am.
nah, we're not gonna do that.
Don't claim it.
I like that, Hannah. And you know, so one thing that led us into what our topic is for today, which we'll get into, but was a question that the people want to know. So I think it might have been last season. I don't know when we started.
Yeah,
that people want to know.
Yeah.
But it's been really cool. I think we've been getting a lot of laughs out of that. But because we have the lovely couple here today after 20 years, I want to pose a question to y'all first. What the people want to know. So the people want to know, what is the difference between connection and chemistry? The difference between connection and chemistry.
That's a good question.
It's a good one.
Again, ladies first.
I see how this going to go.
Do he open doors and like all that stuff? He still do all that?
Still?
Yeah. Man. Never mind. So the difference between connection and chemistry.
See, I told you. There go that laugh. It came out of nowhere.
To answer the door question, yes, he does still open doors. Really, it's more so like my car door. Like, whenever we're going somewhere, getting in, getting out, he'll open my car door. But like the building, he might leave me in the dust. He's probably already on the inside. It just depends. But the car, yeah, for sure.
So you gotta speed up a little bit, ain't it?
Well, nah, I mean, typically, if we're going somewhere together, be it church or an event, because we're together, we're probably already late. And I'm probably just a little bit aggravated. But if we're going to the car is a different thing. Like, all right, I'm going to the car, but we're trying to get to an event together. And when I say late, I'm not talking 2 minutes late. I'm not talking 5. If it started at 3, if I let her have her way and I tell her the truth that it started at 3, we'll get there at 4. So in order for us to get there about 3:15, anywhere under 30 minutes, I have to tell her that it's an hour earlier than what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So teamwork there. That's
like
what
that.
I'm seeing.
You gotta know.
That's like awareness.
You gotta
right?
know. Yeah.
Let's
for me,
put my business on the street.
oh well, everybody know this.
But,
Anybody that know us, they already know.
they know what? That Melinda be.
They know. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
And they have to tell me different times.
Yeah.
So, and I know we're gonna get into the question, but I gotta throw this in. So, so my good friend James Taylor III, Jimmy.
Yeah.
We call him Jimmy, my boy. He told me something
You didn't
before.
get his whole government name by that.
I dropped it. He's just gonna have to be okay with it. So before I got married to my beautiful wife, and shout out to her.
Congrats.
Shout out to Adrian.
Congratulations.
Ring on my finger recently happened. So But my boy Jimmy, he told me before I got married, he was like, "You gonna have to start getting ready, like 30 minutes before she should start getting ready. Well, you got to start getting ready when she should start getting ready. It only might take you 30 minutes. It might take her an hour. So you got to start getting ready an hour before you would not. Well, you know, you got to start getting ready according to her schedule, just so she'll see you moving.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So
I ain't mad at that. I mean, everybody got to do what works for them. But I'm not. Yeah, he knows his wife. You got to know your wife.
Yeah,
you just got to know your wife, and she knows me. She'll call me out on some stuff. I am late on some stuff, but yeah, you gotta know your person.
Yeah. So I put something like that into practice myself. But again, the difference between connection and chemistry, y'all done had a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah. I would say the difference is the dynamics of the relationship when you very first meet. Like, wait a minute, tell me again.
The difference between connection and chemistry.
Connection and chemistry. So, like, chemistry is like, are we all just meshing well? Mm-hmm. You know, like right now, like, we have chemistry on this panel.
Yeah.
But connection, are we going to be cool after we leave this moment? Can you see yourself with this person afterwards? And that's when you very first meet them. Like, when I very first met Curve, like, I actually met him and his friend.
Yeah, let's get into it.
At the same time. And when I met him, like, you know, it was just something about him. I was like, oh, okay. and you know, I tell my kids, you know, I tell some of my friends, like, I was a serial dater. I did not mind going on a first date with you and never talking to you again. I mean, because I wasn't older, but, you know, I wasn't young either. Right. And he wasn't one of the ones where I was like, oh, it was nice, thank you for dinner. Yeah. You know, like you there was an actual connection.
Josh is getting a real kick out of this.
No. It was a conversation of both.
It's the faces you making over there, but no, that's
I've heard it before. I've heard it before.
So you felt the chemistry?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, immediately.
Yes, and then, you know, of course, some of the things he was doing, and then too, I would say, I'm not a person who's just necessarily into people, and what I mean by that, if I'm cool with you, I'm cool with you. I don't have to talk to you constantly. I don't have to be around you constantly. We don't have to be on the phone constantly. But when I see you, you my man, 50 grand. You know, so with Curvin, I wasn't just like calling his phone. I wasn't answering his calls either. But he still wanted to actually engage me. So again, it was more than just, you know, like, it was way more there. Because with anyone else, when you're just meeting someone, let's move on to the next. You know, because if you're not paying me any attention, what is there left for me to hang on to? You know, so one builds more than the other.
Yeah,
I like
in my mind.
Yeah, and kind of, I would have my phone on, right? I want the build word. That's what I was gonna say. Was connection is building that. Chemistry is just there. Now he ain't gonna stop. But so the difference for me is connection is it has to be built. You have to work at it. You have to do things to make it stronger for y'all to develop over time. And I think chemistry is one of those things that it's automatic. Either this person vibes with you because y'all have things kind of like, I guess, initially in common. Y'all like some of the same things, and it's various things that goes into chemistry. Sometimes it could just be physical. Sometimes it can be mental, so on and so forth. But the connection has to be built, and you have to work at building that connection. And it's easier if you got chemistry.
Yeah.
So if you already got chemistry, it's not like, oh man, I got to really do a whole lot to build a connection. But once you add experiences in there, once you add memories in there, and then the morals and values that you have, they connect, then that builds that connection. So
it's like a whole episode, I feel like.
Yeah.
This
Just on that.
Yeah,
I agree. It sounds like chemistry can sometimes be the superficial, you know, immediate, external, and then that connection, like you all have said, it's deeper. You know, it's it's not so superficial. You got to really put in time. You got to really put in work to build that connection. So I definitely agree with what's been said.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I was thinking about it totally different, y'all. So y'all really help put that in perspective for me. Yeah, I appreciate that. We can move on though. I do feel like, man, this question is really packed. But let's move on because we got a whole episode here to get to. So the cutie of the hour.
But what's our topic, man?
Oh,
What's our topic
What
for
is our
today?
topic?
Yeah,
let's go to that. Let's go to that. So our topic for today is listen, learn, and love. The 3 L's. What we're talking about are simple habits for a deeper connection. All right. And let's go ahead and move to our cutie of the hour.
Sounds good. The 3 L's: listen, learn, and love. So our cutie of the hour, as you all know from previous episodes, it's just some type of quotable data, statistic, another version of our own fun facts. And so today's cutie of the hour says, one of the easiest and most effective ways to connect with others is by making eye contact and smiling. When you smile, your brain releases special chemicals, including oxytocin, which is often called the love hormone. Smiling is contagious, meaning when you smile at someone, they are likely to smile back. This also gives them a boost of oxytocin and other feel-good chemicals like serotonin and dopamine. This way, both you and the person you smiled at feel happier. And our reference from this cutie of the hour comes from Science Direct. So what's you all's thoughts on this cutie of the hour?
that's a lot. But I do think, I believe in it.
Right, me too.
And you have a tendency, I feel like we have a tendency more than we realize to rub off on people. Mm-hmm. And you have to be careful about the people that you surround yourself with. And this is one of those evidence of people, rubbing off on you with just a smile.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine the other things that would happen.
And I like to use the example of like babies. Babies obviously don't know too much about emotions, but you can just look at a baby and smile, and most likely they're going to smile back. Of course, if they're like grumpy or hungry or got to use the restroom, they may not smile back. But normally, if you just simply smile at a baby, they're going to smile back. So I definitely think this cutie of the hour is very relevant to our topic of listen, learn, and love.
Yeah, I was just about to say, and thinking about listening, learning, and loving, and thinking about being intentional, right? Mm-hmm. About modeling the type of behavior that you want to see. You want to see somebody smile at you, right? Mm-hmm. So why not give people a smile? And then when we're talking about relationships, talking about love, why not carry that love, that peace with you as you're going throughout your home, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm waking up in the morning and I'm getting out of bed all grumpy, I'm setting the tone for what that day in my home is gonna look like.
Right.
So why can't I wake up and be intentional about giving my wife a smile, giving my wife a tight hug, right? Mm-hmm. A good old kiss. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when we think about relationships, I think that intentionality in just spreading that, as they say, be the peace, and being the peace in your home, I think is really important. I
want to highlight how you say you have to be intentional when it comes to the 3 L's that we're talking about. But do you all feel that sometimes, do you all feel that love requires intention all the time? And I only say that because that word intentionality, I feel like sometimes it doesn't require intentionality. So can we discuss that a little bit? I know that's kind of an awkward question, and it was something that sparked my interest in asking it that I can't recall.
Does love require intention all the time?
Intentionality all the time.
That's a great question.
That's a great question.
It is a good question. I think it really depends on who you're directing the love to. When it comes to just friendships, not necessarily does it have to be all the time, constant. But say in like a parent-child relationship, yes. Because the more love you lavish onto your child, the more likely they are to flourish. And and coming back to what you were saying, like waking up in the morning and being intentional about giving your wife a certain type of hug or whatever, and then what you were saying with just greeting someone with a smile. At times your actions can dictate other people's reactions. And if I'm in the grocery store and I see someone with a frown and we make eye contact, if I smile, they are no longer frowning, they are now smiling.
Right.
And I'm not from the South, but I notice now that I've smiled, now this Southerner will be like, hey, how you doing? Like it's just so common nature for them to wave and smile and say hey. But if they're not smiling initially, now that I've been here so long, I'll go ahead and give the smile. And then when it comes in turns to my children, I want them to have a good day. So I'm actively trying to go to their rooms, hope you have a good day, like let's go ahead and get up. When they're coming home from school, whether it's after practice or just directly after, give me a kiss, let me give you a kiss. I don't care that all my kids are my height, like we're all we're just as big as each other. Nope, still give me a hug. How was your day? Tell me how was it just good? Well, tell me what made it good. Speaking something into them, making sure that I'm actively taking them places, actively exposing them to things. Just love looks different ways, but yes, there has to be some intentionality behind it. And there has to be joy behind it as well, so that people can receive it.
Joy behind it.
I like that.
She said it. She summed it up. But she summed it up really good. I think you always have to be intentional, but it's not easy. But you always have to be intentional, because if you are not, things do get they get out of place. You become complacent. You forget why you met, where y'all started from. I'm gonna give an example from our relationship. I started coming into the house, no smile, not overjoyed, just coming in, not speaking, and that rubbed her the wrong way. And she didn't know what was going on with me until we actually had a conversation about it. And she was understanding of, at that time in my life, I wasn't at the place that I wanted to be. And it had nothing to do with her. It had everything to do with what my goals and my thoughts were. But I wasn't intentional of that moment of when I came into the house, of having that happy face, having that smile, and therefore it affected us. And I didn't know how much it affected us until she shared those sentiments in a conversation. But that's not the only time that things have happened. But you just got to be intentional about how you engage your partner. Like she went on and talked about the kids and your friends as well. But you always have to be intentional. We just forget to do it a lot of times.
Right.
Listen, and I would say, man, you got to be really vigilant too about yourself. Yes. Right. How am I carrying myself? Like you were mentioning, Curvin, you coming in the house, and did you end up recognizing your behavior, or did she point it out to you?
She definitely pointed it out. I didn't recognize it. She definitely pointed it out. I don't remember if she came to me or we just happened to have a conversation, but she definitely pointed it out. And in the process of pointing it out, I had to accept it. Right. So if somebody points it out, you got to accept it. I'm pretty sure I was on the defense at the time. And you can be on the defense because that's what's going to happen. You don't see it initially, you're going to be on the defense. But after being on the defense and her, really explaining it, I accepted for what it was and tried to get better. Am I perfect in that area? No, but I think I'm a whole lot better than I used to be. So.
And then sometimes, this is not necessarily related to the question, but sometimes you have to have conversations in order to realize what's going on. Because when I was growing up, we didn't necessarily give a lot of hugs, but we did always say, I love you. I love you. I don't care if you're walking out the door. I don't care if we're getting off the phone. I love you. I mean, like, I just left you. You love me? Yes, I love you. Say it back. I love you. So, and then, when you're walking into the room, hey, how are you? Good morning. It was just like a lot of things that that I would say like my aunt had put into us, and I'm trying to not necessarily model, but you just do what you're taught. And so if I'm doing this constantly and it's not being reciprocated, so the conversation needs to be had. Hey, can you let me know why when I say hey, you don't say hey back? You know, and you know, you can't use the excuse. I didn't wake up with you this morning. You can say good morning.
Can't do that.
I did wake up with you. You can say good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I want it all.
Yeah.
You know, so you know sometimes it's the dynamics. Like if the conversation wasn't had, I would not have known that. Hey, he's dealing with some things. There's some things going through his mind. Not necessarily he's not trying to say something back. He can't even hear you because he's too deep in thought.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I think.
I got a quick question. On top of that, was you about to wrap that? Was you about to
I
wrap
was.
that? Okay. Good.
So I think the cool thing about a healthy relationship or a healthy partnership is that you all can feed off of each other. And what I'm hearing is that conversation brought self-awareness for Kirvin that he wasn't aware of his, you know, behaviors at the time and how it impacted you or how it impacted just the energy in you all's household. So just a simple conversation can bring self-awareness for the other person. So that's really dope. And I think it highlights the one of the core values of like partnership. You know, you all are there as a unit to feed off of each other and to essentially help each other grow.
Yes. Most definitely. You know, y'all said something that made me think. Kirvin, you mentioned being on the defense, right? And what I learned, I know our topic is listen, learning, and loving. What I've learned is that it can be tough when the other person is on the defense, right? And you're just trying to make a point to them, right? What do y'all do, or what are some good habits for disarming someone who's on the defense? When I say y'all, I mean you two handle, not just the lovely couple here, but
So you know, I went to school for this, so and I practice this. So
right, what'd you go to school for? Disarming?
No, not disarming, but counselor, right? And so I learned how to do communications. I'm interested to hear what she got to say. But for me and her in particular, I always try to. I assume that she's going to be on the defense, and maybe I shouldn't assume, but I assume that if I give her something that I think that she's not going to like, she's going to be on the defense. So I always try to bring it in when we're in a good space. So if I'm gonna bring something to her, I'm not gonna wait until we're in an argument to be like, well, you did. Because that's gonna go sideways real quick. So I always wait till we in a good space, or I don't know what it is about us. If one of us is getting ready to go somewhere, and the other one, we don't necessarily have to be there. So she's leaving me, or I'm leaving her to go somewhere. We had the best conversations.
No. So if she's about to go somewhere, say she's about to go to the mall with her friends, and you gonna stay at home, then y'all start talking about something.
Yeah.
And then she leave?
Yeah, she leave. But no, we'll be having just in general conversation.
Okay. It's not that like spur of the moment, like you brought something up.
And we'll be having that conversation, but it's a good conversation, and then I'll be able to slide something in, and she'll say what she's gonna say, and then that's it. But no, she don't necessarily. I don't think we ever left mad.
That's good.
I don't think that, but I don't know. I don't think we have. She might.
I try not to let my wife leave the room mad.
He may not
don't let's not even leave the room. Let's not even leave the room mad. Let's not leave the couch mad if we can help it. All right. But sometimes to that point though, sometimes you do have to
it's
you
hard.
do need your moments to process,
It's
right?
hard.
So I'm not saying don't do that, but just saying don't leave out, in an uproar, right? Or really in your feelings.
Yeah.
Let's get somewhere, then we can go and process it, right?
Yeah.
You guys, I'm not saying he lying, but I ain't gonna lie to you.
So you saying
He might be lying.
you just said I'm not gonna say he lying, but I ain't gonna lie to you.
She put emphasis on I.
Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
No, when I say that, I mean like for me, as for Melinda, you know, I've gone to school, I've studied some of this stuff, you have your book knowledge on how it's supposed to be, but we are still who we are. And I didn't grow up the way Kirvin grew up. I grew up in a sense of chaos and dysfunction, and whoever voice is the loudest is the one that gets heard. So I try not to do that. And and I alluded to it when he was like, we don't walk away mad. And I'm like, well, he don't walk away mad because I'm still thinking like, I could have got him like this. I could have got him like that, But what I try to do is not necessarily talk so much, not necessarily view so much or voice so much of my opinion, because at times things can go sideways depending on what it is you're saying, how it is you're saying it, the tone, and not all things need to be said. Just because you think it doesn't mean that it needs to be said. Because I remember one time we did get into an argument. This was it was years ago. But Curvin was like, you never say anything to me when we're arguing. And I was like, child, because you don't want to know what I want to say. You don't want to know. And he was like, tell me. And I'm like, let's just stop arguing and we'll be done. He was like, no, because you never have anything. And I was like, all right, you want to know something? And he was like, yeah, tell me. And I was like, this. And he was like, but wait a minute. And I was like, I
wasn't ready.
And he was like, wait, but, and I was like, see, my auntie said you can't cut him, and I cut him, but not at all times does everything need to be spoken,
right.
And at sometimes, even though who you are as an individual wants to take over, you can always reel it back in.
You can,
whether you utilize your faith, whether you utilize your book knowledge or just your experiences.
Thank you.
Use it all to try to figure out the best outcome of the situation, because never will it come out the way you intended it when people are angry, voices are being raised or what have you.
Which do one of y'all like keep the temperature? Or one of y'all like the temperature checker? Like in the
no,
I feel like
it's too many years in. We
it.
don't care no more.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you should have asked us that a long time.
Have you ever been in a relationship, Hannah, where you were like the temperature checker? Like, let me make sure like where we at. Let me regulate it. Or was you on the other end? Like,
I've been on both ends, to be honest. I've been on both ends. I prefer my partner to be the temperature checker, like as a masculine and dominant person. Like, hey, you raising your voice, or hey, you need to calm down some. And then I'll be like, okay, you're right. I am getting a little loud.
Heart.
But that doesn't always mean I like to listen though, or I do so. Yeah, it's just like, hey, you getting a little loud, and I'm like, I know I'm loud. I'm very simple. Like I'm passionate right now. I'm passionate right now.
That's like eyebrows and everything.
Right, whole facial emotions. But it really sounds like you all do a great job of communicating. But I want to explore some of how you all like to set boundaries. Like, how do you all set boundaries during arguments or just like everyday life? How do you all set those healthy boundaries between you all?
Oh man, you got the good questions.
Yeah.
How do we set boundaries?
Do y'all set boundaries?
Right.
We definitely set boundaries. And again, I think it comes back to conversations. And when you said boundaries, the first thing that I thought about is, your mama gonna be mad at me.
Jesus.
So,
Does she watch the show?
Jesus. She does.
Does she watch the show?
She doesn't watch it, but she does the listening.
Well, just apologize in advance.
Miss Glenora,
but she watches.
No,
So.
Mama G, I'm mad. I mean, not mad. I'm sorry.
She gonna laugh
if you get
at me.
offended.
She gonna laugh.
But so Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday,
Okay.
right? And one year, and this was very early on, we went to her family's Thanksgiving, but it was on the west coast, and I didn't particularly like it for a myriad of reasons.
You didn't like the trip, or you didn't like the
just that
The environment.
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
just being in the city, being with people I didn't know at that time. I didn't know them. I definitely know them better now, but I just didn't like it. And going back to boundaries, it's my favorite holiday. So I was like, hey, can we do this? And this was on Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday, so we'll spend it with my family. Christmas, we'll spend it with Joe's family. And we did that for a number of years, maybe 10, 12, maybe 15 years. But recently, she came back and was like, yeah, I'm tired of that. We need to do something different. Okay. Because she obliged me from the beginning with my request. Now it's
Right.
time for me to oblige her. So just respecting each other is, I guess, our way of setting boundaries. Like, yeah, you got a point, I'm good with that. All right, we can switch up. So sorry, Mama G, for saying that.
Saying that
But
you
things
didn't
are
like
better now, right?
Yeah. I mean, as long as I'm with her and the kids, I could be anywhere. Matter of fact, we did it a couple of maybe 2 years ago.
What happened?
We was away for Thanksgiving. We met them for Thanksgiving, and it was a great time when we met them.
Oh, halfway.
Yeah,
We met him at the
yeah.
halfway point. Yeah.
And that was great. But just as far as you saying setting boundaries, I think just respecting each other to hear each other out as to why we want to change something or something happened, and just looking at it like, I guess, objectively as instead of subjectively, and then making a decision of it.
Yeah, that's like a whole, yeah.
So what you think? How we set boundaries? What you was gonna say?
I didn't necessarily have an answer per se, but just listening to what you said, knowing the person, learning the person, going back to the story you had brought up. Hannah was like, well, is everything good now? Again, we've been married for 19 years, together 20. So what Curvin just gave you guys was year 1, 2. Right. So he literally was walking into a situation where he was the only stranger. And then too, again, we grew up differently. So what I did was, being that I have this new husband that everyone hasn't gotten a chance to meet, I took him to everyone's house. We're going from house to house to house for Thanksgiving. And now
And I'm the
Many houses,
I'm an
Okay,
odd
s-
man out. I'm
No,
the-
okay, so
you were?
so
I'm the odd man out at each house. Like nobody
mean
knows
odd?
me.
Like he the southerner.
Yeah. Everybody
But
from the
it's your
city.
whole
introduction
culture
to
shock.
everybody, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
ain't met everybody.
I think that might have been a bad combination too, because I'm being introduced, and it's a family holiday. Everybody family. Everybody
Right.
got stories. Everybody laughing and joking. I'm just like,
But all of these families are not family with each other. And like, I have 2 older siblings that are 8 to 6 years removed from me and my younger sibling. Well, I've never met really their side, but my brother and sister want to hang out for Thanksgiving. So guess where we're going? Curvin and I are going to meet these people. I remember them from childhood, but I don't necessarily know them. And he's like, Melinda. And it's like you'll be fine. Let's go. And so I take him to their grandmother's house. Now we're at my grandmother's house. Well, the temperature is a little bit different. I know everyone on this side of the family. So now we're at my grandmother's house. Then it's like, oh, let's go to my uncle's house too. Let's go to my uncle's house. Oh, let's go over here to my mama's house too. Let's go to my mama's house. So it was just a lot of different people.
it was a lot.
Some of them he already knew, just because they're at the wedding, they live here in the South with us. But some people he doesn't, which is the vast majority, because they're all the way on the other side of the map. So
And
but
you know,
just knowing now, I won't put him back in that situation.
Right.
To allude to
right.
boundaries. When you know someone, don't continue to do things that might bring them, anxiety, mental anguish, or just whatever. Just don't put people in situations. Realize who they are and what you can and cannot do, and actually adhere to that.
You gotta be thinking about your partner. Is what that
Yes.
says to me.
Yes.
I'm recently married, so of course learning my wife, and that's a beautiful thing in itself. Learning each other. I felt like some of the things that I was doing was cool, and then I was like, but hold on, how is she feeling like about these things? And so what I started to do was just kind of try to, when I'm being intentional about, when I'm doing things, be intentional about just having her in mind, like just not really assuming so much, right? That this is a great thing I'm doing. I'm sure she'll like it, but kind of remembering to treat it like almost like when we first met, right? Like I'm continuing to learn her, so let me not just assume and jump here and think that I'm doing the right thing. Let let me do all the little things right.
And I think that comes down to like our topic of just listening. You have to, like Melinda was saying, you have to know your partner. And if there's something you don't know, then that leads us to learn. You have to learn your partner. And from listening and learning, I feel like it just melts into that love that we were talking about earlier, that connection we were talking about earlier, how you can build and work towards that.
Going back to you saying that setting boundaries, for me, divorce was never on the table, but you also don't know how I'm gonna last 10 years, how am I gonna last 20 years, or how am I gonna last 40 years. You don't know that. But listening and learning allows you to not overstep your boundaries in certain situations. Listening and learning your partner allows you not to be when you talk about overstepping boundaries, you're ultimately disrespecting that person wants, their thoughts, and how they feel. You just being blatantly disrespectful. So if you communicate and listen, and then take from that communication and that listening and understanding them, learn them, so that I don't overstep my boundaries, so that I do respect them and show them that I respect them, then relationships can last. And
then too, also knowing when it should be a give and take, not necessarily like this is my wall, don't cross here when it comes to like my characteristics, my likes, my desires, my needs, but kind of meshing with each other. And to give an example of that, I like sports, I do, but I'm more so of a live sports person. Like if you want me to go to the game, oh, that's what's up. But to sit and watch it on TV, and he likes it all encompassing. And one thing that I did, as a give and take, he had me join his fantasy football league.
Okay.
Y'all, I've been in this league for like 20 years. And I'm trying to get out, but he won't let me out. But anyways, but what I do, like, that's something I did. I gave in, I wanted to make sure that, this, that, and the third when it comes to us. But some things that I do that he has to get with a program for me, we're going to this class. Just so happens to be an art class. Oh, we're going to a wine tasting. We're going to do these simple things that are more so like girly or artsy. And then if he ever has a problem, I'm a part of fantasy football. Give
and take.
Yeah.
And I had to get with the Zeta-licious thing.
Zeta-licious.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
He said, "What is that?"
You sound like you're well versed in it.
I'm not.
Remember, they're one. So yes.
Yeah. But nah, she loved her organization of being a Zeta. So like they'll have events and stuff like that, and then I go to those with her, and I love Zeta now because she's a Zeta. But those things that she's a part of, pain. I love that she loved pain. I love it because she loved it. Otherwise, I wouldn't. We went to basketball games at Payne. I would have never went to no basketball game at Payne. Yeah. But she loved her school and she loved her sorority.
Yeah, ain't no two-way street. It's one way.
Yeah, her way or the highway.
No.
But you want
happy
it,
wife, happy life. Is that what they say?
You want it though.
Yeah.
Y'all in agreement somewhere in there, right?
I wanted her. I chose her. I say I chose her. She could say she chose me, but I chose her, and so I chose all of her, not just some of her.
Yeah.
What?
Go ahead.
Okay. One thing my therapist told me when we were just processing some things about relationships is like you see that version of that person right now, but if you get serious and you take that commitment into that deeper connection or even marriage, you take that next step, you're not just marrying that one version of someone, but you're marrying every version of them in the future.
Oh yeah.
So
that's
you have
really,
to that was really deep. Like you have to sign up for that.
Yes.
The version you see might be the one you're in love with, but 10, 15, 30 years down the road, it might be a different version of that person, but you signed up for it. So I'm glad that you were self-aware and you said, I chose her. Like, the good, the bad, the ugly, the ups, downs, happiness,
That's really deep what you just said. At the time that we were dating, I think I went to church just on Sundays. And now we go 3 times a week. So that was a version of me that developed and evolved, and it come from me coming from I'm a preacher's kid, so I come from that type of family where we're always going to church, and she was willing to oblige me in that regard as well. So yeah.
It takes devotion,
That's real. That's real big. What you just said. I hope everybody got that.
But that takes true love, though. That takes true love, and I feel like love brings that sense of compromise. You're able to compromise. You're able to understand. But if that love and that connection isn't there, then it's like, nah.
Yeah.
And I feel like it takes that devotion too, because I think about when, it ain't always gonna like feel like love too. Sometimes it's not gonna be sunshine all the time. So at the end of the day, like is that devotion gonna kick in, right? This is my wife, and like y'all said, I signed up for this.
Yeah.
Right. So am I gonna continue to honor that?
I saw on y'all's show notes that y'all had a question I really wanted to hear her answer on.
Ask it. Go for it.
One of the questions y'all had was there any aha moments in your relationship?
A little context though. A little more context.
Just
like what? By
a light bulb went off.
Okay.
Either about this person or the relationship in general, and I really wanted to hear what she had to say about that. So, yeah, what you had to say about it?
I didn't have any aha moments. I already knew what you was about. No, I'm just playing. I just wanted Look, you wanted to hear something.
You trying to be slick.
If you need time to think, he can tell you his.
Yeah, I know, right?
If you need time to think, he can tell you. But he been thinking about it. So
well, I had two.
Okay.
I had two. One was recent, and then I had one a couple of years ago, and they're two totally different things. But the first one that I had was at some point I was on social media and looking at something, and I was getting ready to send it to one of my friends, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna send this to my wife. And then that developed into the energy that I give or put into other things and other people, I should put it into her. So the very first thing that happens to me, she should be the person to hear it. If I'm on social media, and your timeline is your timeline sometimes, and if something come across my timeline, let's say if it's a beautiful girl, instead of me hitting that like button, I need to go to my wife's profile and hit a like button, and just investing in every way possible. That was a real aha moment that I had randomly to myself, getting ready to send one of my friends something, and I started doing it, and our relationship has developed closer and closer. Our connection has been closer and closer since then. And not saying that she didn't already do that, but I did it, and so it helped. It helped me. And then my second aha moment was because we 20 years now, 20 years in, she sent me some pictures of our kids, and I think, what was it, Christmas? This past Christmas when Destin came down, we was going through pictures, and I was like, hey, we did it. We did it. Like we created a life. We created a family. We did this, and we're still doing it. But we did it. Like we did what we sought out to do, was be together, create the American dream, so to speak, or a version of the American dream, depending on who you are.
Y'all version.
Yeah.
I say that too, Hannah. Y'all is very.
So those are my aha moments. See if you could top that.
Well, I don't necessarily know if this is a aha moment per se, but I do remember, that very first night we met, Curvin, he was telling me, he was like, I really, really like you.
Yeah, the first night y'all met.
First night, sugar.
It was love at first sight for me. So
It was what?
it was love at first sight for me. For real.
And
for
he
real.
was saying like, you know, I really want to talk to you, and
I hope she's not finna
I
say
want
this.
to marry you. We're going to get married, you know. And I was like, oh wow, like we're going to get married.
Foresight. That's a vision. That's a man of vision right there.
And me being me, I was like, they all want to marry me, child. But you no. In all seriousness, I was like, oh really? Like interesting. You want to marry me, and of course, time progressed or whatnot. But I go back home on a vacation, Christmas vacation or whatever. We have some downtime at work, and my mom and my uncle, they're like, oh, Melinda, you're home. We want you to come to our church. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll come to your church. And it's during the week, and the guy, he's preaching, he's doing all of this, and it comes time in the service where it's lay hands. You know how like you'll have an altar call? His was like an altar call, but he's laying his hands on you. And my pastor told me, he said, if you're not prayed up, don't allow other people to be coming laying their hands on you, because if they're not true spiritual, like truly faith believed, whatever's in them is going to jump off of them and into you. And I was telling myself, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm prayed up. And Pastor said, don't let them touch you. So I'm like, I don't know, that's okay. And eventually I went on ahead and did it. My uncle and my mom peer pressured me. I went on ahead and let him, touch me. And the first thing out of his mouth is, oh yeah, that young man you've been praying about, he's the one for you. You're going to marry him.
Oh wow.
Solid.
And I was like, wait, like I've never
Shout out to him.
Never met this man before in my life. Like my uncle came across dude like a year earlier, and he was starting his church. And my uncle liked what he was hearing, and he pulled my mom and his wife in and my stepfather, and they all loved him. And now here I come a year later on a Christmas break, and I'm like, I never even heard them talk about this man. I've never met this man, and first thing out of his mouth is, I'm going to marry him. And sure enough, you guys, you know how you some females do it. We're praying for a husband, but my pastor was like, you have to be intentional in your prayer. You can't just say, I want a man.
Right.
What type of man? Right. So I was like, and I told you again, I was a serial dater. So I was like, Lord, he got to have this, and this. And I want you to make sure that you make it plain for me. Act like I'm in elementary school. Act like I don't know nothing. I need you to hit me in the face with it, because that way I'll know. And sure enough, the man hit me in the face with it.
I had it all.
No, we don't know what that man had. We don't know what he had.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were saying you told the Lord that he had to have this, and this, and hit you in the face with it. So I was like, Warren G, I got it all.
Yeah, brand new socks and drawers.
Yep.
Yes, but yes, true enough. In all seriousness, he did check off all the boxes, and I don't want to say like, oh, he had all the boxes checked. It was he has checked all the boxes, but I don't know if that's what you all meant by aha moment, but that was one of the biggest things that stood out for me, because he had what I prayed for. The man of God told me what God had said to him for me, and all the boxes have continued to be checked.
Wow.
Well, we'll take that since you gave me the tears at the end.
Y'all, healthy relationships do exist. Like, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and I'm just inspired from you all's story. Like, I'm learning. I've known them for so long, but I'm learning more about their relationship, and it's just inspiring to see like where you all have come 20 years ago to now. It's very inspiring. Josh, you're recently married, so I've known both of you and your wife for so long. So it's just so inspiring to see black love, like,
Yeah.
right here.
It's a journey, but it's one that I wouldn't give up, or I wouldn't want to do any other way. So yeah.
So if you all could just share something that some piece of advice or some piece of encouragement for other couples out there, what would it be? A learning lesson, or
I would say just continue to work on your communication. Never stop working on that. Never get complacent in that regard. Just continue to communicate. Continue to live listen, learn, and go from there. But you gotta communicate in order to do that. Yeah.
I would say, like fight the good fight. All of this isn't going to be flowery beds of ease. As Hannah, alluded to in a little while ago, the person you marry isn't the person 5 years in. It's not the person 10 years in. It's not the person 20 years in. You all have to evolve together. And as long as you're making strides together, then change will come about in the way that it should. But you have to be on one accord. If you're not, then you might just grow apart.
I can add something too, man. I say my advice would be a good steward of your relationship. Be a good model for what you want to see. If you feel like if you want your partner to change doing something, then you show the change first. You be the change that you want to see. You don't have to point out everything. Sometimes you almost start nagging. You just point out everything. If something, it's very simple. If something need to be picked up, you go pick it up and let your partner see you and keep doing that. And if it needs to be called out, then it can be called out. But at least be the model, be the example in your relationship. When I'm speaking to myself, really, my advice is to myself. If I want my wife to do something a little different, then I got to do that first. If we need to, preacher told me one time, if y'all need to save money, you start saving money first. All right, you start making peanut butter jelly sandwiches. You started making those first, and then when the conversation needs to be had, it's like, okay, I've already taken the initiative. All right, so she can just hop on board. And sometimes I'm the leader in a lot of ways in my relationship. But then sometimes my wife is the leader.
Absolutely.
Right. So I acknowledge that, of course, a man is expected to be the leader. There are some things that I don't know as well as she knows, right? That she's got more experience with. And I have to be willing to be humble, right? And recognize that and not let my ego get in the way and say, oh no, I gotta jump out there and lead everything.
Right.
Nah, sometimes it's on you, baby. I'm gonna listen to you. And I enjoyed it. I feel like your partner is empowered, when you do that, right? Yeah. Especially when you're recognizing their strengths. And another thing I say is preach them up, preach your partner up, preach them all the way up, coach them all the way up, let them point out all the great things about them, right? Like be constant and be intentional about that. You never know how much. We was talking about a smile at the beginning of the episode. Smiles are contagious. Smiles help build people up, but also those words and those affirmations. We have affirmations about ourselves, but how many affirmations do we have about our partner, right? Or even about our friends? If you if I see my friend, I love my friends. If I see my friend, down, or I know they're dealing with some things, what am I doing to build them up? Right. What kind of affirmations? What am I giving them? What kind of spirit am I giving them? So yeah, man, it's a lot of it's a lot that can be said, y'all.
Yeah.
And y'all got 20 years worth. So.
Yeah. Wow. I was just thinking that as you was talking, like, man, I guess we're coming to the end of the podcast, and it's like we can tell more about our story. But
when y'all gonna write the book, man, that's what we waiting for.
If
y'all bring it today?
Nah. We hadn't thought about it. But maybe she'll do that. Or help me do it or whatever. But it'll be interesting. It will be interesting. But thank y'all for having us.
Most definitely. Listen, learn, and love. Simple habits for deeper connection.
Yeah. I've watched y'all grow over the last, has it been 2 seasons?
2.
Well, look, I wanted to be here with what's my man name? Terrence.
Missing Terrence today.
Yeah.
Because I know he would have just had us rolling.
Shout out to Terrence.
But shout out to Terrence. He's handling business.
Him.
Yeah. But I've watched y'all grow on this podcast, and it's a beautiful thing to come here and be a part of it. Anytime I get a chance to kind of like sub in or be with y'all, it's a dope feeling to see y'all up here doing y'all thing. So I'm appreciative of that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank
Me too.
you.
Yeah, we appreciate having you. Having both of you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Y'all
you
gotta
too,
come back here.
Melinda.
Oh, no problem. No. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, listen, we're gonna let y'all enjoy y'all's anniversary, 20-year anniversary. Let y'all get ready. I guess we all need to get ready for. Yeah.
I didn't make this up. We met February the 12th, 2005.
Beautiful.
This episode is coming out February the 13th. You were late. So technically, I met you late into that 12th evening or night.
I mean, that's awesome that you remembered that. That's awesome.
Yeah, but anyway, it's 20 years. 12, 13 is 20 years.
Shout out to 20 years.
Yeah.
Y'all been married how long?
19.
Yeah.
19.
I told you I knew from the beginning, so it only took me. We on the date of the year, and then we got married.
Same here.
Yeah, we met.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met in February. Officially started dating in April. A year to the day later, we were married.
I love that.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, what God put together. Yeah.
And let no man.
Go ahead and quote the scripture.
Yes, I can't be doing that because I forgot the end of it.
Okay.
But I was gonna finish it out, but I was
You just remember that part from the
I
the
feel like
wedding.
I did remember the last part, I guess.
I think it said something about let no man
asunder.
put asunder or something like that. Yeah.
But listen, thank y'all for joining us. It's been another great episode of Speaking with Gravity. We hope that you've been inspired to shift your perspective, to build healthier habits, especially when we're talking about love, and transform your relationships. Remember, this journey begins with self-awareness. That's awareness of yourself. And then it can permeate, right? And it begins with a willingness to embrace change. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, share, comment, everything with others who might benefit from our conversations. Until next time,
See
keep
ya.
speaking with gravity.
Take care, y'all.